Considering the insane amount of Marvel movies that come out, it's not surprising that characters get recast all the time. But while we expect characters to get recast in case of a reboot, we tend to get frustrated when the recasting happens in the middle of a franchise or within the same universe. There's really no painless way to recast a role essentially mid-story, but sometimes it simply has to be recast for a variety of reasons. In today's video, we're going to take a look at 10 actor replacements in Marvel films. But before we go further, make sure you press that little red button to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done it yet, and press the bell icon to get notified every time we drop a new video. Number 10. Red Skull. Celebrated character actor Hugo Weaving gave us one of the best Marvel villains of the early MCU films with his take on the Red Skull in Captain America: The First Avenger. But in the years since then, the actor has publicly stated many times he hated the intense makeup it took to play the evil Hydra leader, making a return to the role seem unlikely. Nevertheless, the Red Skull showed up in Infinity War in a surprise cameo, and he looked pretty identical to Weaving's version. But it wasn't him. It was the Walking Dead actor Ross Marquand. Aside from playing Aaron on that show, Marquand is known for his vocal imitations of famous actors, so it's no wonder that Marvel picked him to replace Weaving. Number 9. Fandral. Zachary Levi, who will soon be making his debut as Shazam, was until very recently part of the MCU. The Chuck star portrayed Thor's friend Fandral in Thor: The Dark World and briefly in Thor: Ragnarok. However, before Levi got to put on a silly blonde wig, that honor belonged to once upon a time actor Josh Dallas. Dallas left after the first Thor movie due to conflicting schedules with Once Upon a Time, and the part went to the lovable Zachary Levi. And you can never go wrong with Levi. Too bad his talents were wasted on such a small part. Number 8. Thanos. Josh Brolin may have owned Thanos, but he wasn't the only character to play the role. Actor and stuntman Damien Poitier was actually the first one to portray the purple villain in the end credits scene for the Avengers. Brolin didn't join the MCU until 2014's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1, where he had a small part as the villain. A year after he was officially announced to be playing the big bad for Marvel Studios' Infinity Saga. He then reprised the role 3 more times in Avengers: Age of Ultron, Avengers: Infinity War, and Avengers: Endgame. Number 7. James Rhodes. Perhaps the most high-profile recasting to trouble the MCU was that of James Rhodes, Tony Stark's BFF. Terrence Howard was the highest-paid actor in Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr. was much cheaper, as he was on his own personal redemptive arc at the time, but was replaced by Don Cheadle for the second installment onwards. Howard himself claims that he lost $100 million over the course of the franchise due to the pay dispute. Adding insult to injury, it emerged that Howard had campaigned for Downey to be cast as Stark when others weren't so keen. Although the beef has since died down, there's certainly a sense of poignancy during the climax of Iron Man when Howard's Rodney eyes up an unused Iron Man suit but decides that he'll wait until next time. Number 6. Howard Stark. Technically, there were 3 actors who played Howard Stark in the MCU. Gerald Sanders debuted the character in Iron Man, but without any actual lines, so there wasn't much of a commotion when John Slattery was brought in to play the character in Iron Man 2, Captain America: Civil War, and Avengers: Endgame. It's unknown why Marvel Studios had to switch actors at that point in time. The addition of Dominic Cooper in the pool of actors playing Tony Stark's dad, on the other hand, was justified. The MCU needed a much younger version of the character, as he appeared in period projects such as Captain America: The First Avenger and Haley Atwell's Marvel Agent Carter on ABC. Number 5. Venom. While fans are still a little divided on whether or not Venom was a good movie, most can all agree that it was more enjoyable than Spider-Man 3. Even more agreeable is that Tom Hardy was a way better Venom than Topher Grace could have ever hoped to be. Besides looking far more imposing than Grace ever could, Hardy cared about his performance. Not to say that Grace didn't, but in the years since, it had been reported that Sam Raimi didn't have a lot of vested interest in doing Venom, but Sony kind of forced his hand, leaving him no choice. Number 4. Groot. While the voice of Groot has always been done by Vin Diesel, the motion capture actor behind everyone's favorite living tree has been two different people. In the first Guardians of the Galaxy, the full-grown Groot was played on set by Christian Godlewski. For Guardians Volume 2, Groot was but a wee sapling, so he was all CGI. But teenage Groot in Infinity War is played by accomplished motion capture actor Terry Notary, known for his work on Planet of the Apes movies. This is a case where there's no dramatic reason for the recasting, as the heights of adult and teen Groot are totally different and require different-sized actors. Number 3. Spider-Man. Tom Holland now plays the iconic web-slinger in the MCU, but that wasn't the case. Spider-Man reached many fans' hearts when Tobey Maguire portrayed him in the Sam Raimi trilogy. A lot of people still consider the trilogy, at least the first 2 films, the best Spider-Man movies to this day. Andrew Garfield took on the part in 2 amazing Spider-Man films, but this version of Spider-Man wasn't accepted all that well, even though it wasn't really Garfield's fault. The world cheered when Tom Holland got the part and appeared for the first time as Spider-Man in Captain America: Civil War, since he was the closest in age to the actual comic book Spider-Man. Fact elaborated even by the late Stan Lee himself. Number 2. Natasha Romanoff. Prior to Iron Man 2 beginning filming, Emily Blunt was gearing up to play Natasha Romanoff, aka the Black Widow. But she was also finishing filming the Jack Black classic Gulliver's Travels. The classic flop, and Blunt's obligation to it is what kept her out of Natasha's black leather. We'll never know what Blunt would have done with the attractive double agent, but Johansson had been crushing it since her first appearance. She's the most popular lady in the MCU, and because of that, we'll be getting her own solo film to take place during Phase 4. Number 1. The Hulk. After the kickoff of the Marvel Cinematic Universe with the critical and commercial success of Iron Man, audiences would be treated to the second film in the franchise a little over a month later with The Incredible Hulk. While this film wasn't as well received as Iron Man, it didn't do poorly and was considered better than The Hulk. Edward Norton's performance of Bruce Banner was also seen as an improvement from its predecessor. However, Norton would not be invited back for Banner's next appearance in the Avengers. The reasoning behind this recast, according to Marvel's statement over the matter, is that it was looking for an actor who embodies the creativity and collaborative spirit of other talented cast members. Which has been your favorite recasting? Let us know in the comment section below, and don't forget to like this video before leaving. Thanks for watching.